That piece of split wood sitting in your stack right now might look perfectly fine on the outside and still be quietly rotting on the inside. And the difference between those two logs is not cosmetic. It changes how much carbon monoxide ends up in the air you breathe while you sleep. Most people who heat with wood have never once checked for it, because almost nobody has ever told them it exists. Not the hardware store, not the moisture meter in their toolbox, not the neatly stacked cord sitting outside their shed right now, looking as safe as it possibly could. Here's the problem. Nobody explains to you clearly. When people talk about good firewood, they almost always mean one thing. Is it dry? Buy a moisture meter, jab it into the split end, wait for a number under 20%, and you're told you are set for winter. That is genuinely useful information, and it is also incomplete, because moisture content only tells you about the surface layer of the wood. It says nothing about what has been happening in the center of that log for the last 1, 2, or 3 seasons. It sat in a pile. A log can read bone dry on a moisture meter and still have a soft, decayed, structurally hollowed out heartwood running straight through its core. 2 logs can look identical from the outside, weigh noticeably different in your hand, and burn in completely different ways once they hit the firebox. And almost nobody checks for that difference because the entire consumer conversation around firewood begins and ends with a moisture percentage. Here's the shift in thinking that changes how you look at your own woodpile. Dryness and decay are not the same axis. A log can be dry and rotten at the same time, because what is rotting the wood is a slow-acting fungus that has nothing to do with how much surface moisture is left after seasoning. Fungal decay organisms move into dead wood and begin breaking down lignin and cellulose, the structural compounds that give wood its density and its clean burning chemistry long before the wood ever gets split, stacked, or sold to you. By the time you are holding the split piece in your hand, the fungus may already have consumed a meaningful percentage of the wood's original mass, hollowing the interior into what old-time woodcutters called punky wood, without changing much about how the bark or the split face looks from a distance. Rural households that heated almost entirely with wood for generations, long before central heating and electric carbon monoxide detectors existed, developed hands-on habits for catching this before it ever went into the stove. It wasn't written down in agricultural bulletins. It lived in the hands of people who split, stacked, and burned wood every day of their working lives, and had every incentive to notice when a log didn't behave the way a healthy one should. Frontier households across the Appalachians and the Mid-Atlantic, including Pennsylvania communities that endured real hardship during the French and Indian War era, had good reason to take firewood quality seriously. A family with a working stove, a clear chimney, and a full woodpile could still lose members to what physicians of the era vaguely called bad air during a cold snap, without anyone fully understanding why. Some of what got blamed on swamp vapors and foul night air was likely a mix of chimney downdraft, restricted combustion air, and wood burning far less cleanly than anyone realized. The mechanism wasn't understood the way it is now, but the practical workaround, checking every log by hand before it went inside, persisted simply because it worked. The chemistry behind this is straightforward once you see it. Combustion needs enough oxygen and high enough temperature to fully convert wood's carbon into carbon dioxide. When wood burns cleanly, that's mostly what you get, along with water vapor and a small amount of ash. But burn conditions that fall short of that, unseasoned or high moisture wood, a damped down and smoldering fire, restricted airflow, or fuel that has already been partially broken down by fungal decay, tend to burn at lower, less complete combustion, and incomplete combustion produces meaningfully more carbon monoxide as a byproduct. Decayed heartwood makes this worse in 2 compounding ways. Fungal activity typically raises the internal moisture retention of the wood even when the outer layers test dry, and it changes the wood's density and structure in ways that disrupt clean, even burning. None of that shows up on a standard moisture meter reading taken at the split face. Carbon monoxide itself is colorless and odorless, which is exactly why it has a reputation as the quiet hazard of wood heat. Your nose and eyes give you no warning at all, and a working carbon monoxide detector is the only reliable alert once it's already in the air. Here's why almost nobody outside dedicated wood heat households knows any of this. There is no firewood grading standard in the United States that addresses internal decay at all. Species, dryness, and sometimes seasoning time are typically the only things communicated on a bundle or delivered cord, because those are cheap and fast to check at scale. Splitting open a sample of every load to inspect the heartwood or running each piece through a hand feel and sound check takes time commercial suppliers generally aren't set up to absorb, and no regulation requires it. That's less a hidden conspiracy and more an ordinary case of a safety-relevant standard lagging behind the actual risk, the way practical knowledge often stays siloed inside the people who deal with a problem daily and never migrates out to the wider public. Chimney sweeps and stove technicians will tell you fuel quality, not just appliance maintenance, is a real factor in poorer combustion and higher indoor pollutant readings, alongside the more commonly cited culprits of green wood, blocked flues, and older stoves without secondary combustion. So here is how you actually check the wood you already own, using nothing but your hands and about 10 seconds per log. Start with weight. Pick up a split piece of a given species and compare it by feel against another split of similar size from the same species and the same batch. A properly seasoned split should feel dense and substantial for its size. A piece that feels distinctly and surprisingly light for its volume, noticeably lighter than others of the same size and species sitting right next to it, has likely lost real structural mass to internal decay, because fungal breakdown consumes wood fiber and leaves the remaining material less dense even after it dries out. Next, do the tap test. Hold a split loosely by one end so it can vibrate, and wrap the other end sharply with a hammer or another piece of wood. Sound. Healthy hardwood tends to produce a clear, higher-pitched, almost resonant knock. Wood with significant internal decay tends to sound duller and flatter, more like tapping a cardboard box than tapping solid timber, because the hollowed, softened interior doesn't transmit and reflect sound the way dense, intact wood fiber does. Third, look at the end grain in good light. Healthy wood shows tight, even growth rings, and a fairly uniform color across the face. Decay often shows up as darker, radiating streaks running out from the center, small, dark, fleck-like spots scattered through the grain, or patches that have gone an unnatural gray, greenish, or bleached white tone compared to the surrounding wood. All signs that fungal activity has been breaking the wood down from the inside. Finally, if you want the clearest confirmation, split a suspect piece straight through the center. A soft, spongy, crumbly, or noticeably discolored heartwood core, especially compared to a firm, consistent colored piece from the same species, is decay you can see and feel directly, not just infer. None of this replaces the basics you already know. Keep seasoning your wood, checking moisture content, and burning dry, well-split hardwood as your foundation, because moisture and decay are two separate problems that both matter. Keep a working, tested carbon monoxide detector near sleeping areas regardless of how carefully you sort your wood, because detection is still your last line of defense and no hand check replaces it. Have your chimney and flue professionally inspected on a normal schedule, since poor draft and creosote buildup cause plenty of combustion problems that have nothing to do with the wood itself. If you're running an older stove without a secondary combustion chamber, be especially attentive, since those units have less built-in tolerance for lower quality fuel. And if you do find pieces that fail the weight, sound, or end grain check, don't burn them in a closed stove overnight. Set them aside for well-ventilated outdoor use in daylight instead, the same way households that depended entirely on wood heat learned to sort their own piles long before anyone wrote the reasons down in a manual. Go out to your own wood pile this week and run a handful of splits through these checks. It takes minutes, it costs nothing, and it fills in exactly the piece of the puzzle that a moisture meter and a species label were never designed to catch. That gap between what gets tested and what actually matters is where a lot of ordinary household risk quietly lives, not just in firewood. And closing gaps like that, one practical, unglamorous habit at a time, is what this channel is built around. This has been Hidden Fix Lab. Check your woodpile, and I'll see you in the next one.